Today we're going to go through a townhouse that was built about 5 years ago. You can see it behind me here. So let's take a look and see what it is we do for a home inspection on a house this age and of this type. So standing on the outside of the building, I'm looking for any signs the building might have moved or shifted. So excessively large cracks in brickwork, windows and doors that might have shifted out of position. The fascia, the soffits, the gutters, the downspouts, the windows are all things I'm taking a look at. So when you look up here, we're going to look across the top up here for any signs that the soffits have been damaged in the wind. We're going to check the condition of the caulking around the windows just to make sure that there's nothing missing. We're looking for any signs that water has been running down the side of the building and damaged the brick. We're looking under the corners of the windows in here to see if there's any step cracking from either water or any shifting. Okay, there's a little crack just above the door in the fascia right here. Minor problem, that can get fixed pretty easy. It's just a little piece of aluminum. Actually, that's a section of vinyl, so that can just get fixed. Pretty simple issue to fix on that one. Okay, electrical, you got fish lines here to pull any new communication into the house. The power meter is attached properly. You have a 200 amp service up to the building. You have a 100 amp into the building. Gas meter right here. You have the shutoff, which the gas is currently on right now. I always smell for any signs of gas when I'm standing beside the gas meter, and it smells fine. Okay, just looking at the condition of the driveway, it's good. Taking a look at the shingles on a house this age is kind of tricky, or more so the fact that it's a townhouse, it's kind of tricky. Because of the height of the roof, I can't just climb up there easily. So what I have to do is I have to use a pair of binoculars. Now I've started taking a look at this roof already, and I can tell that there's a section of plywood that's missing under the shingles, and I'll show you how I take a look at that. So because I can't just climb up there like I would like to, I use binoculars and I look up onto the roof. So I'll take them and I'll look up here. So to get photos into the report that would show an issue in this situation, I actually put the camera right up to the lens of the binoculars, and I'll show you how that works, and I'll see if I can point out that divot. Hopefully you can see it. It is, sorry, it's back over here, and it is in the top corner right there. I'm standing in the garage right now. Priority one in a garage, the most important thing in a garage is making sure that there are no gaps or openings that would let carbon monoxide get into the living spaces. With this house, I always look up for any signs that there are any gaps or openings in the walls of the ceilings, because you have living space on the other side of these, and that looks fine. You're always going to close the garage door as well, because on the back side of this you have a room above us, so we're going to want to make sure that there's no gaps or openings there. The main way that carbon monoxide would actually get into the house from this room would be through the access door into the house. With these doors, they have to be exterior doors, they have to be fire rated, and they have to close on their own. The reason for that is if there was a vehicle parked in here, an engine of any type, lawnmower, motorcycle, when you're burning natural gas, when you're burning gasoline, the byproduct is carbon monoxide. You cannot let that get into the living space. If that door was open when there was a car running in here, that exhaust would get into the house, which is bad. You don't want that. So in terms of the door, that's in good shape. In terms of the wall and the ceilings, they're in good shape. The electrical outlet, I checked that, it's fine. So I would say that this garage is in good shape. With this house, the electrical panel's in the garage. In terms of a panel being in a garage, absolutely they are allowed to be in a garage. First thing I'm going to do is I look for it. I'm going to check around the edge of the panel to make sure there's no missing knockouts. And that looks fine. You've got lots of clearance off the front of the panel. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn off the power. Okay. And then I'm going to take the cover off and check inside. Okay. So taking a look inside the panel, you have a 100 amp service, so your breaker at the bottom is a two-phase 100 amp breaker. From there, your power goes up the bus bar in the back. These breakers tap onto the bus bar, and they send the power out to the circuits in the house, so your outlets and switches, stove, dryer, things like that. Most important thing, as you're coming down here, you're looking for anything that's melting. Okay? The symptom of a bad circuit is heat, so we just want to make sure that none of these wires are overheating. Okay. You also want to look at the size of the wires. Okay. The more power you use, the higher your amperage, the bigger the cable or the bigger the wire has to be in order to handle that volume of current going through it, the volume of power. 40 amp would be your kitchen stove. That runs through an 8 gauge wire or an 8 gauge cable. Okay. The next step down from that would be your dryer. That would be 30 amps. So 30 amps right here. Okay, on the 30 amp right there, you're running a 10 gauge, which is good. 20 amp for the air conditioner. Okay, you got 12 gauge on that. Kitchen outlets in this house will also be 20 amps, so here's your two 20 amp circuits here for the kitchen outlets. And then everything else in this house will be lighting and outlets, so they will be 15 amp, running 14 gauge copper wire. Okay, doorbell over here, the transformer comes in, they've moretted on and done a single feed into the breaker, which is good. This panel's in really good shape.